different co-host this week. Mike is out on his honeymoon in Vegas, not being Mike whatsoever. We were talking about that a little bit before the show. E. White's joining us this week. How you been, buddy?
What's up, baby? How we feel? We good. We good.
I'm glad that you're back, man.
Dude,
how has life been?
It's been a minute, busy and stuff like that. I mean, you know, just planning a wedding and everything, and then just kind of like, I don't know, causing a bunch of ruckus, usual stuff.
What is it about everybody that sits in this chair over here that's like, I'm just going to get married?
It's contagious, bro.
Maybe I should go sit in that seat.
Yeah, no, I mean, hey, listen, we got to get you there. No, sooner or later it's going to happen.
At some point. We do have a big week for the fans all over, all of our platforms. You can follow us on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, Spotify, YouTube, Patreon, Twitch, and MCN6 Saturdays at 10. You can find that outside of our regular show hours on your Roku app at MCN6. This week we're going to be going over a little bit of Vikings. JJ's still missing from camp.
Great. Love it.
We got news on Anthony Edwards for the offseason, but it's not like bad news this time. So we'll talk about that. The Twins are in full swing. We've got...
Pun intended.
There we go, right? Well, technically not pun intended because they
depends on the day.
Couldn't hit water if they fell out of a boat. Let's be real about
Crazy.
it. There's massive news in golf.
Yep.
We've got international stars coming to the MLS. We've got a lot of things to cover.
It's a busy time.
It's a busy time. So we should start with the Minnesota Vikings, right? Wrapping up OTAs, and the main headline is the fact that Justin Jefferson is still missing, didn't show up to the entirety of OTAs as they wrapped things up. Are you concerned?
I mean, why? How couldn't you be? You know, I mean, it's one of those things where listen, does he need to show up? Is he gonna no? I mean, he's got the skills, right? It's JJ, right? But you want to see the commitment, and that's the same issue that we have with Diggs here, same issue that we've had with previous, Randy at one point. So it's just it feels like this black hole for receivers is just the Minnesota Vikings, and here we are yet again with a whole situation with JJ, and you don't have Thielen anymore, so you don't have another sense of reliability. It's you have a lot of question marks. So you hope that the player that you're investing in the most, actually shows up and wants to be committed to the team. And so I got a lot of questions. I mean, I don't think it's holy shit, crazy red flags, but it's close. You know what I mean?
Well, we drew the line at raised antennas at the very least last week. That everybody should at least be paying attention to the fact that the best wide receiver in the league, amidst contract negotiations, without a quarterback for the future, is not showing up to camp.
Now, Kellen Mond isn't the quarterback of the future?
No,
come on, Texas A&M, baby. Let's go.
I don't think so. So the debate on this show has been, and I'll get your opinion on it, because Gabe says trade him. Mike says you can trade him. I say keep him because he's going to be what draws the quarterback.
Right.
Do you pay him? Or do you find a suitor for him and get a haul back a la Kansas City Chiefs, Tyreek Hill, Green Bay Packers, Devontae Adams, and try to reset a little bit here looking into the future?
See, well, here's the thing. We are in the era of wide receivers, right?
Yes.
Running backs, dime a dozen. We'll get to Dalvin and everything. I don't think you have to worry about Dalvin nearly as much.
Right.
Where this is going.
Hey, come on, man. Come on. But JJ, it's you got to drop the money. You got to make sure it happens. You got to sign him. And end of the day, Here's my thing, because I am a Kirk Cousins hater. I'm very much on that side, but and he's very much a lot of arguments are had over Kirk Cousins. And, serviceable quarterback, but we saw what happened against the Giants in the playoffs. We saw what was going on. But at the end of the day, the biggest weapon that he has is Justin Jefferson, and if you're not going to drop the money to keep him here, what are you doing? The one you have maybe 2 more years of actual success with Kirk Cousins.
Yeah.
The other you have at least 6 or 7. It's just
at least 6 or 7.
At least, and if he's healthy, which he's proven to be, I think you got to drop the money, man. Seriously, this isn't a question mark. He is the most valuable asset to your team.
100%. And it's Gabe says trade him. Like I said, Mike says, and I feel like there's a lot of people that are just straight up split because the defense doesn't look good. You don't have so who's going to be throwing him the ball?
Sure.
You didn't extend Kirk. There's reasonable doubt behind reasons as to why you should keep him. But my thing is, Minnesota's never been a hotbed for quarterbacks either. We haven't been able to draft them outside of Dante Culpepper, and we really and hey, be careful, Gabe will jump down your throat. Dante Culpepper was one.
If he didn't eat himself out of the league, he would have been fantastic.
Cheeseburger Eddie Lacy.
Yeah, listen, come on, man.
Knee injury, come on.
Literally,
but yes, it didn't help.
Omaha Nighthawks legend, okay, UFL legend, Dante Culpepper. But anyway,
so my theory has always been you almost have to pay JJ in hopes that when another Lamar Jackson situation happens, or when heaven forbid Aaron Rodgers leaves the Jets after a year, or Caleb Williams is available at the top of the draft or whatever, it kind of forces your hand into getting the quarterback position right, because the three things that you need to win a championship: good head coaching. I think we have that in KOC.
I agree.
I think you need a good quarterback, which we can have one if he's around to, foster that relationship, and decent O-line play, which the Vikings, for the first time in about a decade, have made consistent progress on. Christian Darrisaw, Brian O'Neill, both the guards that they had, like
Cleveland, and then
there you go. You know what I mean? So that seems to be the key. Why would you, if you've struggled the entire time you've only had 2 of the 3, and that's why you're a first round bounce.
Sure.
Why now are you going to say, we don't need the guy that's going to help you go 3 for 3 in the most important categories?
I think also from a fan perspective, like, this is a player you can invest in. Right?
Yeah.
And it's a player you want to invest in, and like, just for the Vikings organization, he's marketable, he's fun, he's enjoyable to watch. He's just like overall just like a really good influence for the community. I think there's a lot of ways to just like really invest in this. And so, yeah, I understand that, like, yeah, you could trade him and you can get a lot of picks. You can get a lot of potential.
Yep.
You can get a lot of these things. But you also are losing Justin Jefferson. It's just like, if it was, I think this is a Calvin Johnson type situation. I really do.
Absolutely.
And like, it is one of those things where he's a franchise player. I think a lot of people aren't seeing it that way because they just see, we can go and get other receivers. We can go and do this. We can go and do that. I would just love to, argue that some of the best, as an Eagles fan, grew up an Eagles fan, Donovan McNabb's best years Donovan McNabb's best years were when T.O. was in the back.
100%.
You know what I mean? When T.O. was there, he was good to go. He was safe there. T.O. literally set the record for touchdowns for the Eagles.
Yep.
And so if you have a weapon like that, a franchise type weapon, you keep him. I just can't see a world where Justin Jefferson being off of the Vikings is a good thing.
Yeah, I can't. Well, I mean, an outside of quarterback, he is the face of the league. Like, okay, you've got Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen, but
the gritty, like, literally.
I was gonna say, if you remove quarterbacks from the equation, who's the first player that comes to mind in the NFL right now? Justin Jefferson.
No doubt.
From a business standpoint, which nobody likes to talk about in the NFL, it is a business. Jersey sales, ticket sales, like what's going to get you on primetime television and expand your fan base, all these things. Justin Jefferson's going to do that.
No doubt.
You have to pay that man. So if I'm the Wilfs, I'm almost going to him with a blank check. What do you want? Within reason, let's make it happen.
No, not within reason. No. Without reason.
There you go.
You give him the money. Come on.
You go.
There's certain players you do that with.
How about a player that you might not do that with, which is the rumor now that the Vikings have had a lot of offers or interest in the trade of Danielle Hunter. Been injured a couple of years, comes back, switch of system, was okay but not great, a second contract dispute, a second coaching staff. What do you do, and how do you feel the Vikings should handle the interest that they're getting on a pass rusher like Danielle Hunter?
So, again, kind of a flip side here to the JJ situation. Danielle Hunter and having a pass rusher, obviously super valuable.
Super.
But that is nothing that you can't do in the draft. That is nothing that you can't do with like development and everything like that. And this is where I think, with Hunter and being in a situation that isn't really favorable to him, like, it's not going to really benefit the Vikings in any way. So being able to get some assets for him, whether it be like, I'm not expecting like a first round pick, maybe like a third or like second or a third.
I think you can.
Yeah, I think you get a little bit of like, a couple seconds and thirds, what I mean? Like bolster up a little bit and then go from there. But I think like this is where you should be putting your efforts in with Danielle and then with Dalvin as well. I think that's where you put your efforts in the trades.
Yeah, and I think those should be, all of these trades should not be to bring anything player back wise or player, from a player standpoint. You saw it with the way that they handled the Zadarius Smith thing. They got fourths and some pick swaps. And immediately after that trade came out, I heard, okay, well, the Vikings do have elevated interest in the quarterback out of UFC, Caleb Williams, which are going to be coming out next year.
Right.
Kirk didn't get an extension. Now you have guys like Dalvin Cook and Danielle Hunter who are available to trade. I would say if you get everything that you can to the highest bidder for Danielle Hunter and start packaging picks together to get yourself into the top 5, to get yourself into the top 3, now you have your partner for JJ, and you can go, look, that we can put the pieces around you. You can win playoff games this way. You have the quarterback that you need. KOC's got his guy. Kwesi has somebody he can tie himself to as a GM. Like, I think you can probably get a first. Gabe Noah says, Calvin Johnson is a perfect comparison. We will have the exact same results as the
Okay,
Lions.
the Lions also had plumbers as their defense.
There you
Okay,
go.
like
Little bit different.
there's a little bit better situation
we
here.
have?
I'm not saying we have a lot here in Minnesota,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm saying we have more.
And with more money to Jefferson, we'll have less and less. But we'll have that Justin Jefferson to watch him run down the field and catch.
It's a different league than it was even 10 years ago.
110%.
You know,
Yeah, I know. There's
110
more wide
years
receivers. There's more good wide receivers.
ago. But like not Justin Jefferson.
I was going to say there's so
Come on.
few of his caliber in
Yeah.
the league, right? Like, there are good wide receivers.
He's
Sure.
amazing.
Yeah.
Buy low, sell high. And of course, I'm parroting this, but I'm sold.
Yeah, Gabe has been on this trade JJ train for about a
Okay.
month now.
This guy told me and just blew my mind. I'm like, you're absolutely right. We are addicted here to just, we don't win championships. So we're actually
is
like
true.
happy to have just a good guy. Like, but we have this good guy, and that's good. We'll go 10-6 and like have this good guy, and that feels great. I want to win a Super Bowl.
But that good guy, like, here's
And
the
it doesn't happen. It
here's-
doesn't happen doing this though.
Here's the piece that you're missing. We had a good guy in Kevin Garnett, right? What was the issue? We paid him, and then we didn't surround. We just paid him and gave him. And you have
Like-
to pay the guy, keep him happy, and then give him the pieces that he needs. The coach, the quarterback. You know,
Listen, like
Is there a quarterback available in the next year, like who can make us like if there's a
Other
great
than Caleb
quarterback who's
Williams?
right there?
Are we not including Caleb Williams in the draft? Because like, if we're including him, then yes.
Do you guys think? Do you think a rookie quarterback can win the Super Bowl in the first 2 years? And,
Did
and that's,
Russell-
that's
did
an
Russell-
honest question. That's an honest question. I'm not
did-
being a dick. No.
Yeah, no. I mean, Pat did. Russ did. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah. No, I know it's possible.
Rodgers was a backup, but like in his first couple years as a starter, he won a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
So there's ways to go about it. Yeah, for
So
sure.
your plan is we want to tank. We want to get the #1 draft pick to get him.
So
you don't even have to tank to do it. That's
Okay.
why we're addressing the Daniil Hunter trade the way we are. That's why
I
we're
see.
addressing the Dalvin Cook
Yeah.
trade the way that we are. That's why I was okay with getting rid of Zadarius Smith for 4th-round picks.
yeah,
That's
just
why
picks. Like you just build up the picks. That way it becomes a package. That way you can get into the top 5 easy.
Exactly.
And it'll be way easier to do that because I mean I would say for the most part most of the teams in the NFL right now have at least an idea or like the quarterback of the future for them.
Absolutely.
And so yeah, and that's the thing too is just like think about a team like the Chiefs, right? The most influential player in the Super Bowl this year was Isaac Pacheco.
Yeah.
Who is that? Like that's what I'm trying to say is that like sometimes you just deal with rentals and just hope for the best, but you have to like invest in the players that will actually lead your franchise to what you need to do.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I mean like of course we want everybody in Minnesota wants to see a Super Bowl. They want to see a championship.
We deserve one.
Absolutely. You, what 60 years of existence, like 4 Super Bowls, all of them were losses and they haven't been since the 70s. It's the same deal here. It's just you have to invest in rentals and things like that, ultimately to make it happen. But you have to have your core together, and I think that's where Justin Jefferson comes in.
Yeah.
Anyway, those rentals can be done through picks, through
Bingo.
the things like this,
Bingo.
with trading Daniil Hunter, with trading Dalvin Cook. Like you don't want physical assets. You want magic beans more or less.
Yeah.
So
the way that I look at it, and I was listening to somebody, I forget the name. I'm gonna have to go back and quote him on this, but he says we have to stop looking at NFL players from a value standpoint of dollars and cents.
right.
NFL players are one of two things. They're either cheap enough to outplay their value, and so you have a pot, like you're in plus minus in basketball, right? You have a plus player, or you have a player that you are playing an astronomical amount to that meets his value by elevating other guys to above their value.
Exactly.
Can JJ elevate other guys to play above their value? Yes, he will uncover Jordan Addison. He's going to make the quarterback right more oftentimes than not. He's going to help your offensive line. He makes your head coach a little bit smarter, right?
Yeah.
You pay that guy. Kirk Cousins, on the other hand, when you pay him $28, $38, $40 million a year, does he really elevate your offensive line? No, he's not mobile enough. Does he really have the clutch gene that you would need to make your head coach right? No, not really. So he's a minus player. That's
Right.
why the formula in the NFL is you have a quarterback that you're not paying, and you pay everybody else, and that's how you win a Super Bowl. Or you have a guy a la Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady, Peyton Manning,
Yep.
the top-tier quarterback, Josh Allen, in the league, that you don't have to, Patrick Mahomes, that you don't have to give as much money to because he's going to elevate them for you.
Right.
Those are the two formulas. The middle of the road teams that try to play this, we've got stars and we're paying every star. The Dallas Cowboys are a perfect example. We'll never win a Super Bowl with the way that their roster is constructed.
I love that you brought that up. Yeah, anytime.
So when I say this, I truly am not for, like, I'm abandoning my argument here because I don't know enough. I'm truly asking you guys this. Are there more quarterbacks available, like, you know, beyond the Caleb guy you said? Like, you know, are there some good prospects out there? Because that could truly sway me if there's some good guys to go get.
I mean, I don't think it's as good of a class as it is this year, you know, with, like, Stroud and Love and all those guys. But, like, yeah, I think
What about free agents, I guess is what I was meaning. Sorry.
That's going to be tough. So you got to figure out what does the future for Derek Carr look like? What are the Dolphins going to do with Tua Tagovailoa? What, like, those questions are going to continue to get raised. And those questions are like Dak Prescott's going to be due to be re-upped here very shortly.
No,
and you'd also pay $100 million a year for him. Jeez,
you know what I mean? But that's what I'm like. There are going to be guys available, and the market is different every year. We did not go into 2020, the offseason of 2022, thinking Lamar Jackson was going to be a legitimate option.
Right.
We did not go into the offseason of 2021 thinking Russell Wilson was going to be an option. Right.
Right.
Every year there is a quarterback that you can go get. Kirk Cousins was that guy. And it came down to us and the Jets. And the Vikings pulled the trigger on the first time a quarterback of his caliber had been available in a very long time. Yeah. But it's becoming more and more regular for that to be the case.
And let's give it up, by the way, because there is not a better quarterback in the league when your team is down 31-7.
It's true.
Yeah.
Very true.
Or up 31-7. Yeah. No.
Was in that part of that game. Last thing on the Vikings is going to be, did you hear the rumor that the Vikings almost had a completed trade done for Dalvin Cook to the Dolphins in March? And why do you think it didn't cross the finish line?
I mean, you know, I think there's just a lot of questions around Dalvin's character, and I think it comes back to like that whole incident. What was it, a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, the domestic violence situation. Mm-hmm. I think it comes down to that. I think Mike McDaniel wants no BS. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He has. I mean, first of all, to be fair though, you know, it's not like he doesn't have players that don't have BS. Tyreek Hill's a really good example, but I think he is somebody who's just trying to like really make sure that the culture of the Miami Dolphins stays the way it is right now. I think he's really building something really nice down there. I don't think Dalvin wouldn't be a good addition to that team, but I just don't see a situation where he's like, hey, let's add more controversy to this team.
Right. Well,
let's see what happens there. But I mean, at the end of the day, like, you know, I think the Vikings just need to kind of like manage their expectations. I don't think you're going to get as much for Dalvin because of those situations, because he's always hurt, because of things like that. So if that means reducing, the round of picks you're gonna get, or like, you know, just like adding more like background picks and stuff like that, that is what it is. But I mean, it sucks that they didn't get this done because I think it would have been a great suitor, you know?
I agree with you. He's from Miami.
Right.
You know, he loves playing there. We talked about that last season when he played in that game in Miami. My issue with the Dalvin situation is, and the one thing I don't want to see the Vikings do, and they've kind of painted themselves into a corner. The other tweet that we have on the screen here, if you're listening to this and not watching it, jump on Facebook, is Alexander Mattison is expected to be a 3-down back for the Minnesota Vikings. Okay, so they've already said Dalvin's leaving. If Alexander Madison's going to be your 3-down back,
that's it.
We have moved off of Dalvin Cook, right?
Absolutely.
So now you've depreciated the value of potentially keeping him because you said we've committed to guy A versus guy B.
Right.
The other part of this is you can't let a guy like this just walk. Good sports business is understanding, like Gabe said, buy low, sell high, but never sell for nothing. Right? Don't put your furniture out on the front lawn knowing that you can still sit in that recliner and put a free sign on it. Make somebody pay you $10.
Exactly.
It might only be
That's
$10.
Low, right?
But $10 is $10.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
A 6-round pick's a 6-round pick.
And so the Vikings, they have to get something. The only thing that I think is holding that up is the fact that there's still rumors out there about what Derrick Henry's future looks like. Ezekiel Elliott is on the market. I don't think he's a quality back, but that is a running back that is on the market. Kareem Hunt is still kind of up in the air with
it's another one with some issues and everything, though.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, like, there's so many backs out there that everybody's just kind of... It's the Spider-Man meme, right?
Yeah.
Everybody's pointing at each other like, who's going to go first? And eventually, the first domino's going to have to fall.
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Is there any wisdom to that they're, like, holding on to him with the mindset of going... Someone's going to have a training camp injury and need someone, then we'll have some leverage and be able to get something, maybe? Like, I don't know.
It's not a bad mentality, but at the same time, like,
It's a risk.
like having Dalvin Cook as your backup is just like it's an oxymoron. You're wasting a spot, you know.
And $14 million against the cap.
Right.
If you hold him going into the season, right? Like, you can't have that, especially amid.
What's the date? Do you know? Like, I mean, what the?
I mean, we're coming up on it
I
quick.
think it's 2024, isn't it? I was gonna say, I think it's next year. It's up.
We're coming up on it quick.
I'll look it up while you guys are.
You know what I mean? So that's just. There's a lot there with Dalvin, and I would like to see him move on. Alexander Madison, by the way, has earned his chance.
He's fantastic. He looked fantastic last year, seriously. But here's the thing too: is they're both very similar backs too. Like they're both like good out of the backfield. They both can catch. They both have just kind of like a very like a Le'Veon Bell type of hesitation to their running. Like I mean, if you can get Dalvin Cook for cheaper, then why not do it? You know, that's my whole thing.
Gentlemen, I Googled. You ask, shall receive. Got a little news here. Just breaking on Yahoo Sports.
Release Dalvin Cook Friday if they can't trade him, and that's exactly
That's
what I was
literally
worried
what we
about.
just talked about.
You can't let that happen. I don't care who you have to go to. New England got rid of a running back.
There's no
Carolina
shot.
doesn't have one. I can think of a few places around the league that you can send him. Get a seventh. Just get a seventh-round pick. Something is better than nothing. You have to get something. Otherwise, I have to start looking at Kwesi after that draft. He now is having issues re-signing JJ. He didn't extend Kirk Cousins. Now he's going to let Dalvin walk for nothing. Now we're looking at do we have a GM problem?
I mean, listen, I'm a trust the process type of guy, you know.
You're very trusting.
You know, but like again, this is. I mean, if you let him walk,
It's bad business.
That's so bad. I mean, it's just.
And now that it's been in the news, by the way.
Oh, now nobody's
it's happened, right?
No,
like,
nobody's going
one's-
to do anything. Are you
Nobody's gonna do
crazy?
anything.
They know
That's
he's going to be free tomorrow. Like noon tomorrow, he's literally up for grabs.
What?
God, man, how do you make that public? Who on your PR team do you have to fire? Like that's my thing.
Especially because in the NFL, nothing gets out that you don't let out. So I
Right.
think Gabe is right. They don't have a suitor.
Right.
God, man.
They just don't.
What has to happen for you guys to say that Kwesi might be on the fucking hot seat here? Like, I mean,
The
is
JJ
there
situation.
any?
Yeah, I think he's got to
yeah.
butcher that, you know, for sure.
Holy shit!
If
Well,
the
that's
JJ thing
crazy
goes
that could
into,
happen.
if he reaches the trade deadline this year and JJ doesn't have a deal, I'm starting to look at who my GM's going to be next year.
No, 100%.
Dude, we've got to get a sports agent in, like those guys that we found, because I bet JJ's agent just turns ruthless now, right? Because it's
Absolutely.
like
You
all the
have to.
pressure on them.
Is this
right?
Agent Rosenhaus? Do we know that?
I don't even know.
Let me double check.
Oh,
here.
okay.
Yeah, here I got it.
And yeah, they say that he.
But yeah, hot seat. You don't have your
Wow.
quarterback fixed. You don't have your quarterback figured out. You don't have your defensive coordinator locked up long term. You don't have your star wide receiver, the face of the league that's not a quarterback, under contract. You are letting guys walk for nothing.
I honestly.
And you're not drafting well. Red flag, red flag, red flag, red flag, red flag.
It's like they hired me to be the GM for the Vikings this year. Like, I actually could have executed this so far.
His agent's not true, Rosenhaus.
I would have tried to
just
make
know
a
he's very
splash,
difficult.
but
Yeah.
So let's talk from one agent to a guy that just left his agency in the Minnesota Timberwolves. Did you
Yes.
hear the news on Anthony Edwards?
I heard a little bit about it. Run it down a bit.
Here's what I love. Anthony Edwards has left Clutch Sports, which is
Rich Paul, right?
Clutch Sports is the agent that LeBron James uses.
Yeah, Rich Paul.
Yep,
Yeah,
Rich Paul.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, love that. Distance
Great.
from LeBron James for anybody in a Minnesota market is fantastic. So he leaves and then immediately buys a house in the Twin Cities amidst long-term contract negotiations. And he
Great.
signs with Barry something. Same agent that Jaden McDaniels has, so it looks like those two are
Okay.
probably going to be tied at the
That's
hip
good.
for a while.
That's good.
The Wolves need that. That is their duo going forward amidst a bunch of cat trades. And then on top of that, Anthony Edwards commits to play for Team USA in FIBA in the offseason, which
We
is
love
the
it.
International Cup. You saw Luka got a ton of. He added a bunch to his game playing, Dragon, whatever country he was playing for
Yeah.
a couple of years ago. This is
Slovenia,
all good news. Do you think this is the turning point for Anthony Edwards? He's kind of making some independent decisions that seem to be leaning in the Timberwolves' favor.
I mean, well, he's still a kid, right? And he's got to actually put it all together and everything. I think this is the right situation for him. I think he realizes how much he means to the team and to the city.
Yeah.
I mean, he had a What, he had a freaking mural on the side. Yeah, he had a freaking mural on the side of a building in North Loop. Like,
absolutely.
They're clearly invested, and at the end of the day, they're trying their best to turn this into a basketball town. I think A-Rod and the ownership team is doing a really good job. I think they're really putting stuff together. Obviously, the Cat situation, you got to move on from there and all that. So he knows that going forward, he's the guy, right? Like, it's not a question mark anymore. I mean, not that it was last year, but like, for the visual aspect, there was.
Right.
And now in the situation where you have Jaden and you have Ant under the same agent and everything, and again, when you invest in property in a place, you feel pretty comfortable about your situation. So I like where this is going. I just hope that there's a some sort of trade going on for Cat. It needs to happen.
Yeah, absolutely. And maybe address the head coach situation. I know there's been a lot of questions around Chris Finch and a lot of those things for the
I don't hate him, but he's like a Brett Brown situation, right? You're never gonna win with him, like, win a title or anything. But if you're in a transition trying to get to where you need to be, he's a good coach to have. Yeah. I think he's a great assistant on any other team. I think he's a fine head coach. Like, to be, here's the thing: if you go 500 in the NBA, you're a decent coach. You know what I mean? Like, you're solid. But I don't think he'll ever win a championship.
What I like too, you look at the names that are already up there for who's committed to the FIBA World Cup over the summer: Anthony Edwards, Tyrese Halliburton, Austin Reeves, Malik Bridges, Bobby Portis.
Shout out Austin Reeves, by the way. Seriously, had a crazy playoffs this one.
But that Anthony Edwards is going to be the catalyst on that team. That's the guy. He's going to be the one on not just an NBA stage, a world stage. And I remember I was watching the Redeem Team documentary, and I've seen some of the things that Jordan had, like some of the stuff from when Jordan was out there with the Dream Team. That's a different type of basketball.
No doubt.
And everybody that has gone there has talked about how international basketball develops great NBA players, especially when you're the one, right? So that, I think, speaks volumes over almost anything else.
No doubt. And then when you add in Halliburton as well, I mean, Halliburton, just a natural distributor, he's going to give Ant plenty of opportunities to look good, man. Like, seriously, that's a great combination there. So, I mean, it's just, I think you're going to see Ant Edwards come back this year and just be on a whole different level. Like,
he should be in shape, too.
No, exactly. I mean, God, dude. I mean, I don't know how he could be any more in shape. Seriously, dude's killing it. But yeah, man, I mean, it's going to be even better this year. And I think, like, with him at the helm and actually, like, running the offense through him, it turns the Wolves for like the first time ever into a modern basketball team.
Yeah,
which is just like
modern basketball.
Honestly,
team.
I mean, it's
first
true.
time since KG.
Yeah, like honestly, and like even through Cat tries his best to be like the what is it, stretch five or whatever, and try to be what he can be, and be a point forward, and he just can't do that, and that's fine. Like, it's okay. You just know what you have with him, and then go from there. I mean, listen, if you go Cat to Knicks, I mean, who do you get back? That's like my question.
So the rumor around it, and we touched on it last week. You actually did an Instagram reel that did pretty well on this. If you want to jump on over to our Instagram and see that.
Do it. Glass Half Sports all over, yeah.
So the rumor is you'd be getting back Julius Randle, probably Derrick Rose as your other point guard, and 2 first-round picks, unprotected first-round picks.
I'm okay.
For Cat.
Okay, so I like Julius Randle a lot. I
think he's a truer 4, and he's the Wolves at their best. When McDaniels is on the floor, when Ant is on the floor, when a guy like Mike Conley is on the floor, they're a defensive best. They're almost more like the Heat than they are like the Warriors, and Randle fits that role really well.
See, my whole thing is like I would do anything just to get Jalen Brunson. I think that would be my thing. It's just like see what you can do to get him and get that situation going, even if that means giving away like a Jalen Noel or like there are certain ones you want to keep, right? Naz Reid is your center going forward. You want to keep him and everything.
We would try,
yeah, exactly. The hope would be that, but everybody's gonna be asking for him, So I think there's like some interesting situations there, but like I think if you're going to the Knicks, you try to get Jalen as much as possible, but if the compromise is Julius Randle and Derrick Rose, there's worse things to have,
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
What is an unprotected first-round pick?
That means
there's no like exceptions or anything to it. So like basically like you can do anything you want with the pick. It's not like one of those situations where if the Knicks end up in the top 10, they keep the pick or anything like that. It's just like free reign.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's like top 10, top 5 protected because of the way that the NBA does a draft.
There's like a lottery protected too, which is like the top 14. Like it's just weird. The NBA is weird with their drafts. Like honestly.
And then you also can't wear a condom. Unprotected for some.
Okay.
That's right. I didn't think that was so high flying. Okay.
Son of a bitch. Anyway, yeah, exactly. We're just like.
All right. So from Gabe's poor stand-up opportunity there to the Twins' poor opportunities at the plate.
What?
This has been atrocious.
Shredding him.
Atrocious. They have been so bad. Have you been watching Twins baseball? It's been almost unwatchable.
Thank God the pitching's okay.
Oh my God, seriously.
Yes. Literally the first time we've had this opposite problem in like forever. Like for the longest time, it was just like literally, what is it? Less than 5 years ago, they broke the record for the most home runs of all time by a team, and
couldn't pitch.
Couldn't pitch to save their life. Now you have 3 guys with an ERA under 3. Maybe 4 if you include
Ober counts.
Yeah, Ober counts. I was gonna say if you include Ober, what is going on? I mean, you know what to expect out of certain guys. Right, like Joey Gallo, Max Kepler, those guys will never hit for average. They hit bombs and that's it, right? But then it's like when you have the Polancos and the Correas and the Jose Mirandas, the Buxton never hit for average either, though. And it's just like it's just you expect the ones to actually like maintain, actually do it. Christian Vasquez even hits close to 280 most of the time.
Yeah.
It's been a rough run, and like at the end of the day, like listen, these matchups against the Guardians, you're gonna split.
Yes.
The Rays. Well, they're a unit. But they're a unit. But like, also, you got to find ways to like make it happen and at least put up runs. Like, there's no reason Zach Eflin should be going out there and just blanking you, right? It's tough for sure.
And when you have a starter that has been struggling like Lopez, who goes out and holds you to run one-run baseball.
Possibly the biggest fleecing of the 2023 so far, or 2022.
Okay.
Possibly the biggest fleecing.
All right, let's talk about it.
We should.
Gabe is on the side. Gabe is on the side of we shouldn't have traded Luis Ariz. We traded Tony Gwynn. Okay, how good are the Marlins really with a guy who's hitting 400? Not all that great.
That is the worst argument, though, man. That just
listen.
You don't have a tone setter, man.
Hitting is great in the regular season. The Twins are in a weak division. What wins playoff series? Pitching.
And Pablo Lopez, who has never seen the playoffs.
Well, he's still okay. So his FIP is much lower than his actual ERA.
Absolutely.
You've got him locked up long term. You got Joe Ryan locked up long term. You've got 2 more years of Sonny Gray. Bailey Ober looks like he's good. Balazovic is on his way. Simeon Woods Richardson's on his way. Duran in the bolt.
Do we have a good leadoff guy on the way?
That's my thing. It's just like
I think we do.
The hope is Royce Lewis, right? The hope is Royce Lewis.
Did you see his crash?
Yeah,
oh my God!
We saw it. My Lord, it was terrifying. But
horrible.
Dude, but that's the thing. It's just like you don't have a reliable left-handed bat in the lineup, and Luis Ariz was that. And whether or not, and here's the thing, whether or not Luis Ariz is actually adding to the Marlins' success. Here's the thing. On top of everything else, are you showing the?
No.
Oh, okay.
Just cheering you on in your great take.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Seriously. Hype me up a little. Gas me up a little bit. No, but, like, here's the thing. The Marlins, their whole situation, their pitching is terrible right now. Sandy Alcantara literally has an ERA close to 6. Yep. Like, their whole situation, Luis Ariz is the bright spot. And now, here's a team like the Twins who could use that bright spot, who have somewhat of a, contentious race in the AL Central. Sure. If not, granted, it's a bunch of teams fighting for staying above 500.
Right.
But with that said, when you have those games, and like you might make this argument for pitching as well, when the Guardians actually figure it out, because they will. They absolutely will.
Sure.
You need to have reliable bats. And if you don't have a reliable left-handed bat in the lineup, because like Kepler looks like trash.
He's going to get cut.
I was going to say, Gallo is a true three outcome batter. Yep. It's like, who do you rely on? Nick Gordon? No offense to Nick Gordon. Love him. But
fractured shin right now. Exactly. And he was hitting 192 when he left.
Exactly. It's just.
So my thing with the Twins, and this is forward thinking. Me and Mike both went into the season and said the expectation is to win a playoff game this year. Screw the series. We're 0 for 18. Let's win a playoff game. Make the playoffs, win 1. I think you got to start looking at guys. The Twins seem to have like a log jam right now. You got Matt Wallner who's tearing up AAA. Mm-hmm. Jose Miranda's going to figure it out. He's young enough.
Yeah,
Royce Lewis is going to figure it out. He's young enough.
Yep.
Right. You've got guys down there. Erod is coming. Acuna's younger brother is down. Like,
I forget that he's down there. It's crazy.
Like the Twins have a stronger farm system. What you need to start.
Austin Martin, bro. Don't worry. Austin Martin. He'll figure it out.
He's coming.
He's coming. Well, what the Twins need to do is clear the logjam at some point this year. And if that's what you're going to do to get that reliable left-handed bat,
sure.
Do you shop Buxton? Do you shop Correa? Do you shop Polanco? Do you move the guys out of the way?
Yep.
And because some team is going to go, I could use Buxton in my lineup because we have the other pieces to where him hitting 230 and 30 home runs is good enough.
Right.
Somebody's going to have a lineup for Carlos Correa where they go, okay, well, Gold Glove shortstop play and a 240 batting average is good enough. Yeah, those guys are going to be out. So go get the bat that you need.
Yep.
Using those guys, make way for the young kids to come up and get the at-bats that they need. So next year when you've got this stud pitching rotation,
right,
they're ready to go. And then you can actually push the Guardians. You can push. You're going to be able to fend off the Royals. The Tigers are eventually going to turn around. Like, then you're going to be
starting to figure out a little bit.
You're going to have a contender then. But you can't do it doing it this way.
Why don't you just apologize? Just and say that you're wrong because Arias is because we would have only had to pay him about $12 million a year for the rest of his life.
Okay, Gabe, answer me this: where are you putting him on defense today?
You know what? He can play fucking DH. It doesn't matter.
Your DH is Byron Buxton. It's never going to work because you're paying him $28 million.
That's the dude who we should have traded.
Well, no, I mean you can put Gallo. I mean you can put Gallo in right. He's got a cannon. You know,
I mean he plays second base, third base, and first. It's like he's all over. So
he's a liability.
A more interesting question to me is name who is the Twins position player? So not the pitchers, who is untouchable to you, who you just would not trade. Because I can't name one.
Currently, yeah, I don't.
Vasquez.
It's just so weird to have like a good team.
You don't have one.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's like I think Miranda's the closest you have.
Correct.
Miranda is the
Royce
closest.
would be if he can stay healthy.
Yeah, if Royce can stay healthy, absolutely. But otherwise, I mean, like Polanco, you can get value. Correa, you can get value. I mean, you paid him enough money that really like he's not going to be traded. I think Buxton is your most dispensable player, which is ridiculous. I mean, it sucks because it's like I love Buxton as a player, but here's the thing: is just like if you have somebody like the A's that are just like, hey, we're moving to Vegas, have Seth Brown and Esteury Ruiz, have fun. Like you got something there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Which it's just one of those things where you could find a suitor in some sort of way to make it happen. And I think Buxton is still young enough that you can make it happen and actually get good value back.
100%.
It pains me because I love him as a player. He's super fun to watch when he's healthy and when he plays in the field, which he hasn't done all season long. I was going to say he hasn't done it all season. There's got to be players. There's got to be teams that are looking for a good bat to have in a DH situation.
100%.
Yeah.
I mean, the Phillies built their roster around guys like Byron Buxton last year, and they almost won a World Series.
It's ridiculous. I still don't know how that happened. My father was Papa E. White was so pumped. He was so excited. But they had no business being in the. That's another team though that could like want a guy like a Buxton. You know what I mean? Because they could be like, hey, here's Brandon Marsh, here's Nick Castellanos. Like just have some people, and then we'll take the speed and the bat. I could see it happening.
Well, I mean, hey, the rumors that continue to fly around the Twins and I see them every week. I see them around Shohei Ohtani. I'm calling the Angels tomorrow, and I'm going, you need help. I will give you Polanco, I will give you Buxton, and I will give you Correa if you can bring me back.
My firstborn child.
If you can bring me back Shohei Ohtani.
I would give them, truly anything.
Dude, I would sell my
You're not allowed to touch
Ohtani on a team.
Yeah, you're not allowed to touch my pitch. Like I'd say, you can't have Joe Ryan, Pablo Lopez.
No.
I think you have to give him Joe Ryan.
No. Then I'm out.
You have to give him. Then I'm out. You have to give them a pitch. So what you'll probably have to do.
You'd really be out for that?
Yes.
You could either give him Joe
Sonny
Ryan.
Gray.
He's too old. I think you could give him Balazovic and you could give him Woods Richardson. You'd have to compromise.
That I'd be okay with.
You'd have to compromise somewhere.
I think Sonny's actually a good bait because he's old enough where he's young enough but old enough.
Yeah, I mean I
never thought of that. That's
he's pitching out of his mind right now too. Seriously, he's looking like Sonny Gray. It's crazy.
Very likable dude too.
Super likable.
Definitely. No. His nickname's Pickles, which is hilarious also.
I hate Pickles.
Great.
Yeah, great meme. Great meme.
Is. What, by the way, who is our leading starter right now? Is it Sonny or is it Joe?
I think it's Sonny. I think Sonny is he's got the best ERAs, but
stats right now.
So if you flip to the next slide, you'll actually be able to see him, Gabe.
Oh, okay.
Because then we can go ahead and cover what's coming up for the Twins.
All right.
And if you're asking who's our ace, I guess it's what you're in the mood for, right? It's flavor of the day. If you want if you want 5 runs of shutout baseball and maybe take a loss because you got to get into the bullpen early, Sonny Gray.
Sonny Gray.
If you want 6 2/3 innings of 1-2 run baseball, and all you need to do is put up something, and you're guaranteed to win. It's Joe Ryan.
They are giving Joe a lot more of a leash, which is nice. So, like, early in the season, he was going like 5-6 innings, and now it's like they're even letting him go.
His
7.
whip is continuing to drop. Last week it was .99.
Yeah, he's awesome to watch.
He's fun to watch, and then I think you need bullpen help though too. I've been saying.
Oh my God,
it's ridiculous how bad it is.
So,
other than Duran, it's like, who do you go to?
Well, so my other question was going to be with the player development. You see Royce Lewis getting hurt. You see Byron Buxton getting hurt. You see a lot of these things. Guys coming through our farm system. They come up. They're great for a little bit, and then injuries just plague. Right. Alex Kirilloff having a career, almost ending wrist surgery at 25.
Yeah, speaking of left-handed bats, you could rely on somewhat. Yeah,
there you go. So, like, at what point do we need to start looking at Toby Gardenhire, the leader of our farm system, and going, we're not identifying certain things. We got rid of 2 relievers at the trade deadline this year, one of which is the best reliever in baseball right now.
Right.
In Baltimore.
Yeah.
Like, what are we not seeing?
I forgot Batista was in the freaking farm system.
Cano, too.
Insane. Oh, yeah, Cano as well. Oh, my God. Yeah,
Cano?
not Batista. My bad. Cano. Yeah, Cano's been insane.
He's been lights out.
What's the first name, Cano?
Yanir.
Cano.
Yeah, Yanir Cano. But, like, yeah, I mean, and that's the thing is, like, you got to recoup some assets there and things like that. Like, here's the thing. The Yankees need some bat help right now. You know what I mean? Maybe, like, move some people around, get a Clay Holmes, get a Michael King. It's just like
Jason Dominguez.
Oh my God, dude!
Give me the Martian.
They're not gonna give. If the Yankees give away Jason Dominguez, they're literally stupid.
Hey, they almost traded Robinson Cano on 3 separate occasions before he made the roster. I know that they're dumb enough to trade somebody.
I mean, they got to keep because Stanton's maybe got 2 more years.
Yeah,
like not even. Like he's such a. They got rid of Aaron Hicks too, so like there's a hole in the outfield somewhere because they have Jake Bauers playing there right now.
They can have Byron Buxton.
I wonder if we can help the Orioles because they are freaking stacked.
Yeah, that's another one too. You could get a Batista. You could get, even like a lefty, like a CNL Perez or something like that. Like you get somebody. I don't think you're gonna get a bat from them because like I think they're set with what they're doing. I don't think they. Well, you could maybe get a Colton Cowser.
Up though. Yeah.
You could get like a Cowser. You could get like a Terran Vevera or whatever his name is. Like I think there's like potential, and those guys are lefties. So again, it really fits the bill there.
But we do need someone who can help now.
Yeah, Kyle Stowers is another one too. Like the Orioles are stacked. The Orioles are going to be nasty for years at this point. It's crazy.
Yep. Every good lineup in the MLB right now has somebody that's floor is Jose Ramirez. It's 30, 100, and like 280.
Such a stud.
He is. The fact that he grabbed 30 bags.
Short King Jose Ramirez.
What's that? Short King?
Short King Jose Ramirez.
I just learned he was 30-30 club. I was just blown away. Dude, I was like, he steals 30 bases.
Most quiet star in the league. It's like him and Cedric
really
Mullins fly so underneath the radar. It's like crazy to me.
It's nuts. All right, so the Twins have a series coming up on the road against the Toronto Blue Jays before they have a 2-game series against the border battle against the Milwaukee Brewers. How do you think this is going to go?
So, the Blue Jays, they're kind of reeling right now. They've had a tough month. I was going to say, because Matt Chapman was nasty. Didn't he win Player of the Month? Something like that. Like, they were killing it to start the year. Now Manoah's playing in the Florida League.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Yeah, literally got sent down to the rookie league.
Holy shit.
He's been so bad this year. Got kicked out of the game for foreign substances the other day, and then they just sent him down. He's just got no movement. I don't know if it's the yips or something like that. It's going crazy, but like
young enough to figure it out.
Exactly, he'll figure it out for sure. But then it's just like you're probably going to face Bassett. You're probably going to face Gossman. Yep. So it's going to be a tough series. Whether or not the Blue Jays are doing well or slumping or not, it's still the Blue Jays and they're still stacked. So I think you could easily get 2 here. It's possible.
The series is going to be dependent on limiting 2 guys. Bo Bichette and Vlad Guerrero Jr.
Exactly.
Bo Bichette is the best shortstop in baseball right now.
Disgusting. He's so good.
So good.
Yeah.
Even in the field
too?
Yes.
Defensively, he's kind of a liability. He has Jeter syndrome where he just plays out of position and has to figure it out.
Of all time,
yeah, exactly.
So, okay.
He has Jeter syndrome.
No more.
Yeah.
So I would agree that they can grab 2 and then just grab 1 against the Brewers without getting a 17 hung on you because their lineup is capable of that and their pitchers are so good.
Burns has been rough this year, though. I was going to say, Burns has been kind of rough. So, I don't know. It depends on the situation. But
a chance to stretch the lead out there.
Yeah, it really depends on who's pitching in that series. If you get Peralta and you get, or what's his name, Lauer, if you get Lauer and Woodruff, I think that might be tough. But if you get, like, Burns or Peralta, I think it'll be okay. Yeah. I think it'll be good. But yeah, we'll see what happens.
All right, that's what we got on the Minnesota Twins. I think we should jump outside of the local news and maybe check in on the NBA and the finals and the Stanley Cup.
Yeah, it's a
finals,
little
which
bit.
is happening as we speak. Game wrapped up last night. Game 3 versus Denver versus Miami. Your thoughts on the series up to this point? Denver up 2-1.
I mean, Jokic is the MVP, bro. Like, I don't know how. Like, this is somebody who grew up a Sixers fan, grew up a diehard. I went to those games where literally they played Hollis Thompson 30 minutes a game. Like, I was there, and I can tell you wholeheartedly that Jokic is the MVP, and Embiid robbed him. Like, literally,
Yeah.
I think ultimately the Nuggets are just so well-rounded and so well-coached.
They are.
That it's so, and it sucks because on the other side, I love Eric Spoelstra. I think Eric Spoelstra is the most underrated coach in sports, period. He's so good at what he does. He's so good at making something out of nothing in so many situations. He made some of those Heat teams that were god-awful after LeBron left, like, make the playoffs.
Yeah.
Like, he's an absolutely talented coach. But I think it's just, like, too little too late for them. I think it's just a whole tough situation to go in and just face a guy like Jokic, face a guy like Jamal Murray. That whole entire team is nasty. Like, unless Bam figures it out, I think this is it. You know
Which
what I mean?
I think Bam can do.
Bam can. He can. Absolutely.
Here's what I'm going to tell you. I sat on the show last week and I said Heat in 7, and I'm sticking with my pick.
I don't hate it.
And
I don't hate it.
And here's the reason why.
Okay.
A man by the name of Tyler can play hero if he makes it back for Game 4.
Dude, if he sits, he gets released. I think you cut him. Like, come on. Like, this is
The leading scorer in the league, broken right hand in Game 1 versus Milwaukee. But here's what I'm going to tell you. I watched these games, and in the game that they won, you could tell that the Nuggets, they were just a half gear off where they should be.
Yeah.
In both the games that Miami lost, I'm looking at it going, they're a rotation guy short. They're a bucket scorers.
Yeah.
If Tyler Hero gets back, and all of a sudden Duncan Robinson can go back to being a role player,
Yeah.
you take some pressure off Vincent. You take some pressure off Martin. You take some pressure off Butler. Your defensive matchups are better. Your offensive sets are better. I think the Heat, while they'll be close games, the Heat are really good in close games.
Yeah.
Statistically, one of the best teams in NBA history in close games this year. I think Denver's in trouble. They are letting, even last night, they had it at a 17-point lead. You thought the game was over. And then there was a point with 2 minutes left last night where the Heat cut it to 9 and had Bam not taken the jumper and dished that ball out to the corner to Duncan Robinson, who probably hits that, who hits that 3 more oftentimes than not.
Yeah.
It's a 6-point ball game again. The Nuggets are going to be in trouble if he comes back. I genuinely believe that.
I think there are like certain matchups you can get to quell Hero a little bit, and again, if like I'm pretty sure it's a shooting hand, is it not?
Yeah.
So that's like not exactly ideal, but I think I like where your head's at. I think going into the series, I was like, this is going to be 6 or 7 games.
Yeah.
So like no matter what, so either way, you're going to get some fun basketball. You're going to enjoy yourself watching this series, the rest of this series. But I just think at the end of the day, Jokic is so good. It's like, and it's very rare that you have a player that just like completely single-handedly changes the game, like a LeBron or like somebody like that. Steph, and just like Jokic just has that ability, and his vision on the court for a big man is like, it's as good as any point guard in this league. And so I don't know. I think it's tough. It's tough for me to go against the Nuggets because every time I thought of going against them, they proved me wrong. They shut me up.
Yeah.
So it's like I can't do it anymore. I can't just hold on to it. And as much as I would love to see Jimmy Butler get a ring, as much as I would love to see that team really come from behind and do something with it, I just can't see a world where that happens.
It's the two things that I think the Heat need to do outside of getting Tyler Hero back.
Yeah.
You got to get Jokic in foul trouble. Have to. Like on pick and
Feels
pop.
like nobody can.
That's Jimmy's job. But right now Jimmy's having to supply all the rest of the offense from the perimeter.
Yeah.
Jimmy is at his best when you let him play downhill basketball. Right? We saw that while he was here in Minnesota.
It's just his
I
brand.
think he becomes a problem for Jokic. The lob becomes a problem for Jokic not being as agile. You saw it last night. Bam can out rebound and out position him if he needs to on athleticism alone.
I was going to say he's not going to box him out, but on athleticism, he absolutely can. Like, he has the hops.
That's why I feel like the pivot in that offense is crucial. And then Kevin Love was in the game last night. He got in the game and he shot 3 3-pointers. Bro, you are in there to play defense. There's no reason you should be putting up shots anywhere on the floor at 42 years old. LeBron gave up on that guy 6 years ago when his career is over, and now he's just hanging on for dear life with Heat legend Udonis Haslem going, please,
Go.
get me another ring. Like,
Oh my
dude,
God.
you're in the Spoelstra put you in the game for one reason: rebound and limit Yoke on offense. That is it. That is it.
Are you also just having a hard time seeing Kevin Love in a Heat jersey? Like, is that weird to you? Like, it's so, there's certain teams or certain players I see in certain jerseys, and I'm like, what the hell is going on?
Can I be
Like,
really honest with you? I'm having a hard time seeing Kevin Love in an NBA,
jersey? Yeah,
Period.
for sure.
His career's
Yeah,
been over
there's
for
that.
4
Yeah.
years.
Yeah,
Say, this is since I'm not the NBA guy at all, I don't mind asking a stupid question.
that's fine.
Sure.
That privileged gangbanger who plays basketball?
Oh, we're talking about John Morant.
Yeah, would he be on this team?
No.
Oh, I thought he was
so.
Denver Nuggets. I was like, oh my God.
No,
He's the Memphis Grizzlies. And did you see
That's
the
right.
ridiculous shit that his team released yesterday about trying to quell the potential suspension coming, claiming that the gun in that video was a toy gun, and that's the excuse
okay.
that they're going to
Good call.
use now? Listen, no. If anybody's buying that, you're dumber than a box of rocks.
They should be trying to save the kid's life and
So-
let him have the suspension.
Here's my thing with Ja. Like, if you want to have fun and everything like that, go nuts, do your thing, whatever. But like, if you are getting if you are in a situation where the NBA is like, hey, stop doing this, and you're willing
Probably
to throw-
stop.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I would just do that, considering, like, you're about to get, within the next year or two, a $35 million a year contract. Like, he's that good. You know what I mean? He's that talented of a player. And just his decision-making is just so poor. And, again, when you're looking at, like, his background,
Yep.
like, I mean...
He's a private school kid.
I saw a meme one time that he was basically Papa Doc from fucking 8 Mile.
Yeah.
It was, like, hilarious. I was
Yeah.
like, bro, like, his real name's Clarence. Like, something like that. I'm like, oh, my God, this is tough.
Like, if they care about that player, they really should let him have that suspension,
Yeah.
man. It's their only chance to
Dude,
get through to him.
Memphis needs it. Like, that team needs it. Without him, they're rough, dude.
I would if I'm Adam Silver, I would nail John Morant to the board.
Yeah.
Now publicly lying to try to avoid suspension.
Yeah.
If that was a toy gun, why on God's green earth did you apologize the way that you did when you got caught with it? You can't backpedal out of this situation. You got caught. Throw yourself at the mercy of the commissioner and the league and your peers and your sponsors and take whatever they are willing. The one thing that I will give Tiger Woods, after all that shit happened, he threw himself at the mercy of everybody and pretty much said, it happened.
Yep.
The only thing I can do is move forward. And because of that, he got to retain most of his image. It took him some time, but he got to retain most of his image. These guys that fight it are the guys that wind up out of the league.
So, and that's the thing, right? It's just like, and even if it's something like you don't suspend him, but you like force him to go to like therapy and like rehab and stuff
Indefinite,
like that.
well,
like,
they tried that.
And do you try it again? Do you try something like I don't know, because like in my head, it's like naturally I'm like, okay, this dude clearly has some mental issues in some sort of way, like some sort of like mental health crisis is going on. So it's like, how can we provide him support, right? That's my first, because I'm looking at a glass half full, right? So it's like, if we can provide him support, how can we do that, and how can we help him out? And again, we've already done it once. Do we let it happen again, or do you actually like punish him? And that's yeah.
Fool me once, can't get fooled again.
Holy shit, guy. It actually just hit me. I realized. I just had a realization.
Yeah.
Actually, the Grizz are trying to save him. They're actually trying to end his gangbanging career by saying his guns are all toys.
Well, that's
They're just clowning him.
They're
at
just
this
clowning him.
point.
So then it
God.
actually will end his street career. Like, it'll kill his street cred for good. He won't be able to go.
What street cred?
I
That's
know,
my
I know.
thing. It's like it's
there
just-
have the no jumper. You know about the no jumper podcast,
I do,
right?
yes,
There's
yes.
a lot
Very
of question.
tumultuous,
There's a lot of eclectic individuals that join the no jumper podcast.
a lot of porn stars. A lot
There
of
you go.
porn stars.
And there's a lot of questionable individuals that follow that culture, right?
Sure.
That have been on that show. There was a guy that sat on that show less than a month ago that said, "Okay, Ja, if you really want to be that way, somebody's gonna come knocking on your door to do some real gangbanger shit. And if you don't, then we're gonna have a real fucking problem. Then it's not the commissioner you have an issue with. So now is it worth it to be waving around a toy gun, thinking that it's a real gun, and a cop rolls up on you, or another gang member, and now your life is in danger?
Well,
Bro,
and like,
no.
and that's the thing is just like, like run with who you want to run with, but just realize that if you're going to run with certain people and try to, portray certain things, it's going to catch up with you. It's going to happen. You know what I mean? And so I I wish him the best. I know it's like weird to say that here in Minnesota, but I don't want somebody to like, like end up in a bad situation or a worse situation because of like, mental health issues or poor mistakes they've made. It's like, I want them to figure it out, but like you have to help. The only way to help people is if they want to be helped, right? And so, I mean, like from everywhere across the board, it's super important. So
got to put himself in a better position.
Yeah, exactly. So like whatever that might be for Ja, like I hope he figures it out. As a person, I hope he figures it out. As a basketball player, I don't even think we're thinking about that right now. We know his skills, we know everything like that, but beyond that point, there's clearly some stuff he's got to figure out, and clearly stuff he's got to figure out with his family.
Yeah, absolutely. From a player that needs to figure it out to a team that needs to figure it out. What the hell is going on with the Florida Panthers right now? Vegas has literally run into town and just murdered them in both of the last two matchups.
Well, you know what? Sometimes the carriage turns into a pumpkin, and that's what's happening right now with Florida. Listen, I'll give him credit. Okay, first of all, Matthew Tkachuk, for what it's worth, the entire playoffs has played out of his mind, and then he's like, "Oh, I'm just gonna stop playing hockey now," and just literally, what has he got? 35 penalty minutes and 1 point in the series.
Yeah.
It's like Kirill with the Wild, right? It's like the same deal. He had so much influence on his team, and here's the thing: is like you look at their roster. It's fine. It's a playoff team, but it's not a championship team.
No.
And Bobrovsky's play has been insane until now, and now Alex Lyon, which ironically both former Flyers. But like Alex Lyon's back in net, and Aiden Hill is standing on his head. The Knights just have more well-rounded situations. They have a better team overall. This is clearly just a team getting outclassed. At the end of the day.
By a lot.
By quite a bit.
Watching a hockey game that ends in a football score is something. I don't even watch hockey, and I know that's bad. 7-2?
Right. Exactly. It's insane. It's nuts. And the thing is like people are like, well, don't worry, they'll get back to Florida. They'll be fine.
No.
What? Like, what home field advantage or home ice advantage do you think there is in Sunrise, Florida?
I was going to say, folks, we are in June now. People are hanging out on the beach. They're not going to the ice arena.
No. It's what I'm saying. It's just like everybody who is going to a Florida Panthers game doesn't give a shit about the Florida Panthers. They're all Rangers fans that moved down from New York. Like, I'd be honest with you. That is like the entire situation of hockey in Florida minus Tampa but that's because Tampa won 2 cups. They have to care now.
Yeah.
So that's the situation now with Vegas. I mean, Vegas literally, and I will say this, I will admit this because I've talked about this with my friends and everything like that. Literally, I thought Vegas was going to be like a bottom 10 team this year because
they looked like a bottom 10 team to start the year.
Because they made so many changes, they got rid of goalie situations, and like literally, like that Max Pacioretty deal was ridiculous. That whole the whole trade situation with Max Pacioretty, Craig Rivet, that ended up just basically more or less it ended up with them losing Nick Suzuki, multiple first-round picks, and Thomas Tatar. Yeah. And everybody was like, okay, they're stupid. The front office is dumb. They have no money. There's no way this is going to happen. They paid Jack Eichel $1 zillion, and now it's like we can't even make trades because they violate every single cap hit known to man because hockey's weird, and the cap hits are nuts. But they've ended up figuring it out. And ultimately, at the end of the day, they've proven that you can buy a team in hockey. It's like you never, literally the Maple Leafs have been doing it for years where they've been trying to buy a team in hockey and fail miserably. Yeah. And this is the team that has literally bought their way to a Stanley Cup and they're figuring it out. It's stupid for the sport. I hate that it's happening. But it is what it is. Because parity is what hockey's all about, right? Hockey is there's so many question marks. The teams like the Panthers, it's fun to watch. Vegas is literally the example of a fucking super team that you don't want to see success. And that's what's happening.
Vegas is going to get 2 cups as an expansion team before the Wild even see the Stanley Cup Finals. If you were wondering if we fit all 4 of Minnesota sports teams into the show, that would make 4 for 4. And all of them outside of the Minnesota Vikings have been for bad reasons.
Fire Dean.
And we still have a stupid name.
Oh my God.
I'm fine with the Wild.
I'm okay with it now. I'm used to it, but it still sucks.
I don't understand it. They had the expansion draft. They had the same situation that the Wild were presented. Was presented to the Vegas Knights. The Knights said, "Hey, let's do it and win a cup." And then they said, "Oh, we're past that initial
they lost
window."
Cup that year.
Yeah.
You know, but
they made it to a cup. 2 cup appearances. Yeah, in 5 years. It's crazy.
How did the Kraken do?
I mean, hell.
Better than the Wild.
Well, I was gonna say, hell, they made a hell of a run. I mean, the first year was terrible, but then they figured it out. Okay. It's just ultimately this is a goalie situation. Once you hit the playoffs, it's all your goalie is so important. And I'll give Gus his credit. Philip Gustafson was fantastic. But you can only do so much at one point, and like the Stars just outmatched them, and like we could go all day about that.
Bring on Jesper Wallstedt.
Please, seriously, like trade Rossi. I'm big.
Really?
I'm a big trade Rossi guy.
Why is that?
Too small.
There's this size issue, and then he can't stay healthy.
Okay.
He damn near died from COVID, and like obviously, like that's not his fault. Like that is what it is. But otherwise he can't stay in the lineup. He's a minus player consistently. I'm pretty sure he was like a -7 last year.
He just gets bullied.
He's just it's just like it is what it is to a certain degree. There is still like a European player stereotype. He's Austrian, right? And I think there is like a stereotype with certain players that they just can't make it out to the NHL level. And he's an example. He's getting like Nick said, he's getting bullied out there.
Pushed around.
Yeah. So I mean, you trade him while you still get value. I mean, the Wild have so much to figure out. First of all, the coaching situation of like up and down, whether it's the assistants, whether it's Dean himself. I trust Billy Guerin. I mean, Billy Guerin figured it out in Pittsburgh. He eventually put it all together. But Bill Guerin's going to do things with his guys, with guys that he likes, his vibe and everything. So if that means a Matt Dumba walks, if that means a why am I blanking on it? Zuccarello walks. Like whatever the situation is. If Bill Guerin feels it doesn't fit his scheme, then he's out for real. Bill Guerin might as well just be the coach, honestly. Like if he's going to do it,
turn him into Bill Belichick.
Yeah,
coach, GM, partial owner.
Are we worried at all about Kirill as far as his ability in playoffs or as a leader?
I'm more worried about him going back to Russia and people finding him and actually like putting him in the army and everything. That's what I'm worried about. I'm just worried about him being smart.
Yeah.
Like if he wants to stay in the country and he wants to be cool with like just like his family visiting and everything, then good, awesome, he'll stay here. But my biggest concern is the fact that he is definitely wanted by the Russian army. So there's that. The same way that it was back in like the 80s and 90s and everything. Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, Vegas is disgusting. They're going to sweep them. And
stick a fork in Florida.
Yeah, seriously, RIP. Yeah. Good run. It was fun. Seriously, congrats to Florida. I mean, it's only the second time they made a Stanley Cup in, 30 years of existence? Oh, yeah, congrats to them. Cool.
Absolutely. Let's see. Can I find another good bridge here? Oh, yeah. So good run for Florida and good run for Live Golf, which is now done, over, bye, see ya. But interestingly enough, based on all the reports that we've heard in golf news, it seems more like Liv bought the PGA as part of this merger for funding. What in the world is going to happen to golf?
You're barking up the wrong tree here, man. I know mini golf. I'm really good at that.
Good for the game.
I think it's.
Is it?
I think at the end of the day, like, the more unity, the better in golf. I don't think because. Like, what's the difference? I mean, that's my whole thing. Is just like what ultimately is what was setting it apart. It's like other than like maybe pay raises and stuff like that or like sponsorships. What is setting Live Golf apart from from the PGA? That's my whole thing.
It was structure. It's the way that they played the game, right? Okay. Like a lot and guaranteed money and the courses that they would play on, right? Like the big issue with the PGA is that it was a nonprofit. So they were in complete and total control of how they wanted to run it, how they wanted to play their golfers, where they wanted to play their tournaments, and nobody had any say whatsoever. That's why Norman left, right? And wanted to start doing his thing with Phil, and then a bunch of golfers followed him right out the door.
Sure.
However, their viewership, like literally less than a week ago, I was hearing reports, Live Golf on TV sets record lows for, nationally brought, and I was like, oh my God, like it was bad.
The only way
depleted their talent pool so much, I think, is just all it was, and they see it as a long-term thing, and to me, they're going to take on PGA's brain trust, and they just absorb that money, and then they have access now to playing in Saudi Arabia and all that kind of shit.
Hey, this is the definition of money talks and bullshit walks 1,000 fucking miles, my friend.
Dude, the only way I can compare this is through professional wrestling. It's the only way I can really understand it. It's like the difference between WWE and AEW, and it's like I feel like Liv just had more workers' rights and at least situations where it's representation for the golfers, much like how AEW has more freedom for the wrestlers to actually be under contract and have benefits without being an independent contractor. So it's like that's the only way I I can really see and compare it. But like, yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it's like if there's more access for the players and there's more representation for the players, then merge. Like, I don't see the problem. You know, it's like ultimately what matters is that you're actually representing your employees in a good way. And so if that's the way they can do it through merging Live and merging the PGA, then awesome. And if not, and it goes back to the way it is, well, then we're all just up.
That's what I think. Like, I mean, I don't even think they give a shit about that stuff.
I'm sure they don't.
Like.
The players, some of the players are pissed.
Oh, I mean, how
some of the PGA players are pissed. How do you feel?
Well, where else are they going to go now?
How do you How do you feel as Tiger Woods knowing you turned down $500 million to stay loyal to the PGA, and Phil Mickelson's going to walk back into the clubhouse like, fuck you.
Exactly.
Hey, and I made the same money.
Phil Mickelson,
I'm back.
He's like making, what is he? He's not even hitting top 10 on some of these courses.
No.
He's like playing like ass, and he's like, oh, I don't care. Look at all the money. I already have green jackets and everything. Whatever. Yeah.
Jeez. Are we going to get a fifth major?
Probably. I mean, we might as well, you know? Like, where's it going to be, though?
Saudi Arabia.
It's going to be Saudi Arabia. I love how, like, just, like, everything's just like, okay, we're in Saudi Arabia now. It's like, apparently we've, like, found a way to, like,
boxing,
merge everything. Well, yeah, now that, like, they're on good terms with, was it Syria or something like that? Yeah. Everybody's like, it's fine now. It's crazy, bro.
This is wild to me.
Did you know that you could have enough money that you could buy the fucking PGA league? Like, I mean,
crazy, bro.
It's insane. It's like, I mean, what's next? Are they going to own, like, the NFL? Like, I mean,
might as well, bro.
Right?
Seriously.
It's insane.
Well, they have their hands in everything. If you've taken an Uber in the last 14 days, guess what? Saudi product.
Yeah,
Sorry.
for sure.
Huh.
They got investors left and right, man. Seriously. I mean, they just have so much money over there. It's
the world's deepest
Dubai,
pockets.
Like, yeah, come on.
The world's deepest pockets. They single-handedly put together Fight Island in the middle of COVID.
Yeah. Like, good for them. I don't agree with, like, you know, some of the policies against women. But, like, you know, it's
I would agree.
Yeah, exactly.
I would agree.
And by some, I mean all. But, like, at the same time, it's just like, yeah, they got money. They got investments. Like, congrats, you did it. You know what I mean? You literally figured out what capitalism is. Yeah,
Separate the cash flow from the people.
Yeah.
I don't like their policies about women, but I can be bought off.
God damn.
If they have enough money.
Really,
I mean, come on, guys.
Really?
You're going to turn down $20 million?
Listen, practice your religion how you want to practice it, but at the same time, it's like you are discriminating against people. I don't like you.
Yeah,
that's just me personally.
It's a tough pill to swallow.
Okay.
It's a tough pill to swallow.
Yeah.
Anything else on the PGA, Gabe? Any other off-the-wall comments you'd like to make?
Nope.
All right, fantastic.
I made mine.
We can head on over to our final
What are
segment.
these people in the sunglasses?
Who are these dudes?
Those are the CEOs.
Is that Jesse Ventura?
Nope. One of them is Greg Norman. The other one is Stephen Walsh, I believe, or Wolf, who is the CEO of the PGA.
Okay. Shout out Jesse Ventura, by the way. He was there when Walsh signed that whole weed thing. He's been trying. He's been advocating for legal weed forever, dude.
I love
seriously. Seems like a nice enough dude. He also seems a little nuts.
I have a very close friend of mine who recently mistook Jesse the Body Ventura for Ace Ventura, and I think I
very different.
Died laughing.
Very different.
We
have
hysterical.
Dude, so random. We have like a doll of Jesse Ventura in our studio, but it's like not wrestling Jesse Ventura. It's Governor Jesse Ventura, which is just so random. It's just like it's literally that, and then there's like another like weird puppet that Dave Ryan has because Dave. Great dude. And then there's like a random like Vikings thing too. It's like we have the most random stuff in our studio.
Hey, it's always good. If you look at our studio, it's nothing but random shit.
Yeah, but like but it's on brand and like themed. It's all sports stuff. Yeah. Like in the studio.
Beside the sloth.
We have a stoplight
St. Patrick's.
at the KDWB studio.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the sloth's great, but again, you're drinking most of the time when you're involving sports. It tracks, okay? Like there's a theme to it, you know? There's a degree of separation. Anyway.
There we go.
Yeah.
And then I think last segment of the day that we're going to have here, folks, is going to be Hot Corner. Two things that we want to talk about. You want to start with Messi or Connor?
Oh, dude, we got to talk about Messi. Come on now. This is huge.
It's massive news for the MLS.
I mean, like, I'm saying, like, you know, we were talking about this before we hit air and everything. Like, you know, is this bigger than Beckham? Is this bigger than Ibrahimovic? Is this bigger than anybody else? And the answer is 1,000 times yes. I mean, you are putting the biggest star in soccer, period.
History.
F. Ronaldo, F. everybody else. Like, Messi is the guy. You are putting Messi in a market that is not only predominantly Hispanic, but a market that actually gives a shit about soccer.
Yeah.
It is huge. It is the biggest move by the MLS, period. Ever. Other than the expansion, ever. period, this is the biggest thing to happen to the MLS.
Does this give them national credibility, right? Because obviously there's a whole lot of like world tournaments. And America doesn't really get the shot. It's the most popular sport in the world, but here it's like 5th.
I will say you're gonna get more people or more teams that will come overseas to play against Messi.
Yeah,
I think it does add legitimacy. It doesn't add, and that's all it adds though, is legitimacy. It doesn't add skill set. Like, no. I think if anything, like, yeah, there will be kids that like maybe want to play soccer more, maybe want to develop more and everything. I mean, you're seeing that more with the U.S. team, and like obviously they made some moves, and like, you know, women's soccer obviously is huge here, but like men's soccer seems to just not.
Shout out Alex Morgan.
Yeah, go Alex Morgan. Shout out the Aurora. Like, they're dope for sure. But like at the same time, it's like the pro league here, the MLS is like a laughing stock elsewhere, right?
Yeah.
Like literally a Costa Rican league come in here and just F up the loons. Like, honestly.
Oh, yeah.
It is what it is. But this adds legitimacy. This adds a reason for people to come over to the U.S. to play soccer, you know, and like I think it adds more than Beckham, it adds more than Ibrahimovic, it adds more than anybody else because Messi is such a transcended star, you know, and he's not and that's the thing too, is just like I've never heard anybody say anything bad about Messi
ever.
He's not like Ronaldo where he has literal rape charges against him. It's like this is a dude who for the most part plays the game right and is a solid influence on everything. So I think with that all being said, this is a massive move for the MLS. It's a massive move for Inter Miami, who doesn't have a stadium, by the way, yet, which is ridiculous. They're playing in their practice stadium right now.
That's what the ticket prices are for.
Exactly.
Up 1,000% upon announcement.
Ridiculous. It's crazy, man. But this is huge. This is massive for the league, and I'm super excited to see.
Are they the odds-on favorite to win like the MLS Cup or anything this year now?
I don't think so, because like Atlanta actually has like a really decent. There's teams that actually like have like that are decent. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Like you could put Atlanta and you could put LAFC up against a team in like, I don't know, Russia or Brazil, and like they could hold their own. They're not gonna go face Barcelona or like, you know, any of the German teams or anything like that. But you could at least like, you know, tie a team from like Russia or Brazil or like, you know, something like that.
With relative success, like say he does come in and he stays Messi, like. Admittedly, Beckham got here and was kind of like Beckham light.
And Messi is kind of on the tail end of the career, but Messi's tail end is still better than like most people's tail end.
Correct.
Beckham wasn't that good. Like Beckham was fine.
He's Jeter.
Yeah, Beckham was Jeter. Absolutely. Beckham was a decent player. There is no narrative ever that says Beckham is a top 10 player. Never. Like no. Absolutely not. Like really? I would put Wayne.
Even then,
I would put Wayne Rooney over Beckham as like best like English player of all time.
I'm not a soccer fan.
Just hyped at that time, though. I just didn't know that.
He was just a handsome underwear model that could kick a soccer ball. Yeah. Let's be really honest about who Beckham was.
I mean, he was talented, but yeah, I mean, he did have that aura about him, and I think it's just like it overshadowed his actual skill on the pitch.
100%.
Oh, will Messi be a top 5 player in the league?
Yeah, pretty close.
Top 5, yeah, I think he could. I think he could get top 10. Top 5, maybe not. I mean, it really. I'll be 100% honest with you here. When it comes to names in the MLS, I don't have a ton of them, but like I do know that he would be at least in that pantheon for sure.
Who's the best player actually for the Minnesota team?
Probably Reynoso. I would say Reynoso is probably the most reliable out of all of them. Not a bad player. Again, not an American player. Like there's just not a lot of homegrown talent here, you know. So you have to get players from like other leagues that like maybe we're playing on the B squad on like, you know, Barcelona or Bayern Munich. I mean, half of the U.S. team, most of those guys play either on the B squad or play in the level down from the EPL. Like they're like Clint Dempsey. I mean, probably the best American player of all time. Maybe him or Landon Donovan. I mean, he was playing for Everton. That's like probably the peak of his career, you know? So, yeah, I mean, we need more American players that are like invested and want to go play like overseas and stuff.
Well, and I think it's the MLS is developing something really interesting because I feel like every 6 months I hear of an NBA star, an NFL star, or somebody who's investing in an MLS team.
Yeah.
And those relationships with other pro athletes, do you think that this begins to open the door for what could be like, not necessarily a renaissance, but kind of like the ramp up or the golden era, or the entering into the golden era of what could be American soccer?
Well, I think so. And again, there's more and more teams that are buying up, you know, like, again, just bigger investors and bigger names and everything. I mean, I'm pretty sure with Real Salt Lake, I'm pretty sure D Wade is part of that ownership team.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I think there's like more and more teams. I mean, I know LeBron has some investments. I know that
KD owns a piece of
DC United. Yeah. He owns part of DC United. It's his hometown. And so, like, the more and more investments that you have here, you know, Inter Miami, speaking of David Beckham, he has investments in Inter Miami, you know? So there's plenty to do and there's plenty to invest in here, and I think there's more and more expansion happening with the MLS, and more cities are getting behind it. They pack Alliance Field.
Every game.
I've never been there.
Every game sold out.
And
Have you been there, Nick?
Yeah, I have. Yeah. It's great. It's fantastic. It's a fantastic gig. You know, in Seattle, they pack Lumen Field.
Yeah,
now, granted, Seattle's a weird market, but like, you know, even in Atlanta, like, they're filling up Mercedes-Benz Stadium pretty well, at least the lower bowl. Like, you know, so if you're building stadiums based for soccer where it's like caps around 25,000 and you're still filling it, I consider that a successful league.
That's a win.
You know, so at the end of the day, if there's more investment in the community, I think it's huge, and I think they're going to have plenty of that with Messi. So
how much are tickets for it?
Dude, $30. I was going to say it's not terrible.
It's not cheap though. I thought you were going to say $8.
No. I mean, you know, but but it's like one of those situations where it's like, hey, I want to go to a Loons game, and like, you know, if you want to sit right in back of the beer hall, then yeah, you're talking $30, and like, that's not terrible. But it's like, it's cheaper than a Wild game, or it's cheaper than, you know, going to a Twins game or a Vikings. It's on par with a Twins game.
It's the same.
Yeah, it's on par. So, you know, if you want something a little different and some good energy, I mean, they always bring it for sure. So, yeah.
All right. Next thing on the list is going to be, obviously, we've been following The Ultimate Fighter. Gabe, did you watch episode 2 last night or 2 days ago?
No, I did not.
Conor is down 0-2 to Michael Chandler after both of his fighters in the 155-pound division have lost.
Big oof.
And it looks like we are just ahead of the scuffle. That seems to be what's coming up next week. Gabe, how do you think?
Oh, sorry. I was going to say, I did read the story about Conor training with him. I don't know if they showed that in the episode.
Yep.
Of him, like, sparring with all his team.
Yep, they did.
Kavanaugh was saying, he's running through him like a buzzsaw or whatever.
I mean, like, do we expect Conor McGregor to be a good coach? Like, to be fair,
no.
At the end of the day, it's his show, man. Seriously.
I think he's a good coach if it goes well.
Yes.
And then if it starts getting shaky, then he's going to throw them all under the bus and fuck them. And
absolutely.
He's Conor McGregor.
I mean, there hasn't been, I mean, realistically, how many Ultimate Fighter coaches have actually been good coaches? How many? Like, Chael Sonnen, maybe?
Yeah.
I was going to say, that's like...
Couture, I think, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
I was going to say, like, there's maybe a couple that, like, actually have, like, coaching qualities.
It's a name. It's a name.
Show. It's a reality
name value
show.
thing.
Exactly.
Right? It's a name value thing.
For sure.
One of the more interesting things that I read on a Conor thing is about an analysis of his facial structure.
Oh my gosh! Here we go.
Well, what?
I know. Well, I know you're going. Go ahead.
Well, okay. I mean, do you think it's different?
I mean, I think he's aged. I think I look different than I did when I was 21. I think I look different than I.
He might have had some work done though. To be fair, I mean,
no, it's steroids. It's steroids.
Of course, it's
stuff.
steroids.
Yeah,
of course
like,
it is. But once again,
facial
that is something he exited the USADA testing pool
I'm not
because
mad at that.
in order for him to get his leg healed the way that he should, in order to train, they were gonna have to put him on supplements like GH1.
Bro, it's a cycle. Like he can find a way to be clean by the time he wants to fight again.
Yeah. That's not even where I'm going. I'm saying that it's like he's been taking it that long, and for that, like, I mean, over these years, and
that healing process is gonna do that to you.
But it's longer than that. It's, whatever. I'm not mad at it. I'm just
Chris Weidman, who just announced his next fight, which by the way isn't gonna happen till the fall, broke his leg in it's a very similar break, a whole year ahead of Conor.
I agree.
Yeah.
I understand why you take him. I'm not even like criticizing that at all. I'm saying him as a guy seems changed in so many ways that it's hard to overlook it. From his facial structure to the way he speaks to, I mean, have you seen the videos of him answering questions and stuff?
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah.
It's like he's got, I don't know. I'll be surprised if he doesn't just go get doinked. Like, I'm glad they picked Chandler for him. So
they gave him a speed bump to go up against, because Chandler's not going to wrestle with him.
Yeah,
no.
Chandler's going to want to strike with him.
Yeah.
He's a good fight. He's a fun fighter, but like
Super fun,
and
yeah.
Connor's going to turn him into a tomato can.
Yeah,
he's supposed to. Yeah,
it's the whole purpose. It's the whole thing. Speaking of steroids, real quick, Tatis, the way he's just reacted to like fans since he's come back is the best thing ever.
Yeah,
like just dancing in Chicago.
Oh my god, it's the best. I love it so much.
Especially since he's tearing the cover off the baseball still.
Is he still? I know he was, but I haven't
Steroids don't teach you how to swing.
I agree.
That was my argument with Bonds for years.
I mean, literally, like, you can get the things that Mark McGwire took over the counter at GNC. Andro is a very accessible testosterone booster. Like, it's just, like, literally anybody can buy it.
But he did take other stuff.
But, you know, he had that in, what I'm saying is he just had it in his locker. It's what everybody, you know, pointed out. It's just like, oh, well, he had it open in his locker. It's like, yeah, it's a testosterone booster. Literally, you can buy it at GNC.
Yeah. Bonds is the greatest hitter who's ever lived. It's not
ever.
Doesn't matter.
Ever.
Like, exactly.
Ever.
He literally was the best hitter of all time.
Even has a different swing.
Yeah.
It's insane.
Dude. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, you know, every one of these hitters that, like, you know, hit 500 home runs, most of them, I would say, like, you know, that were using steroids. Like, end of the day, they had good swings. You know what I mean? Sammy Sosa had a nice swing. David Ortiz had a nice swing.
Oh, whoa.
Like,
David Ortiz had a fantastic, art-worthy swing.
Yeah.
I love Big Papi.
Exactly. I low-key cried when I found out that he tested positive. You know, like, that was like a huge bummer. You know what I mean?
Super.
Yeah. But end of the day, it is what it is. It makes the sport more fun. Like, for real. I wouldn't be shocked if there's more guys that are currently in the league right now. You know what I mean? Like,
oh, for sure.
Yeah, exactly.
There are
mean to tell
guys.
me Brandon Drury came out of nowhere last year? Come on.
There are guys in the NFL that are betting on games that the NFL didn't know about until recently. I promise you there are guys in the MLB with the amount of players that they have that are taking stuff that we just haven't caught yet.
Exactly.
I mean, there are guys in the NFL that they also cheat the drug testing. Everybody knows they test on this date, be clean by this date, and then go back to doing whatever you were doing.
They make new things every day, too.
Exactly.
Like, seriously, there's things that have way more complex stuff than they had back in the 90s. Like, it's
I've
just...
got some in my drawer.
Yeah.
You think LeBron's $1 million investment into his body every year isn't somewhat of him just staying ahead of the curve?
Bro, listen, that's the thing. Like, listen, and even if it's like something like stem cell replacement or something like that, that's happening out there. You know what I mean? Goalies absolutely smash Adderall before they play hockey. Like, and that's definitely illegal, but they do it anyway. It's just, I don't know, bro.
Well, which is why I do say that Hank Aaron is actually technically the real home run king and probably the best hitter of all time because he's the only guy who's early enough for steroids who put up modern numbers.
Also, fun fact, Hank Aaron never hit more than 50 home runs. He never hit over 50.
He never hit less than 20.
No.
Yeah, it's crazy.
But another thing also is that I didn't know because we just did a deep dive on him.
Yeah.
I didn't realize he batted .330. Like how many
Dude's a
times he
machine.
and stole 20 bases and stuff like that. I had no clue.
It's like a unit.
Dude, him and Willie Mays, man, seriously.
Yeah.
Like, Willie Mays was another one that he talks about. He always gets buried in the conversation, but, like, literally, when you think about players in the modern era and how they play, Willie Mays was that back in the 60s.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah, 110%. And that's Barry Bonds' godfather.
Indeed it is.
Mm-hmm.
So that should tell you something.
Amen.
That should tell you something. I think that's all we got for the show. E. White Man, it was fantastic to have you back.
Always, bro.
Anything you want to leave the folks with before? I mean, I don't know when the next time we're going to see you is. We might have you next week. We might have you sometime in the future. Anything you want to leave the folks with today?
Yeah, man. E. White on the mic. E like the letter. White like the color on the MIC. All over. Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. Yeah, man. I do radio and stuff like that on KDWB. So you can check me out 6 to 11. 6
to 11, so close. I was gonna give you a tagline like he'll take you from 6 to midnight.
6 to midnight. Well, it was 6 to midnight, and then National said, "Hey, we got to put this show on at 11." I was like, "All right, whatever."
Whatever.
I get home earlier. That's kind of cool. So you know, that's nice. And then yeah, man. Thanks for having me. That's cool.
Absolutely, man.
Great show,
Always
guys.
a pleasure to have you. We will check in with you, I'm sure, sometime here in the near future. Make sure you tune in with us next week, folks. Mike might be back. Mike might not be.
If he survives Vegas.
If he survives Vegas, it's like taking Mike and dropping him in the polar opposite of his environment. So I have no idea how he's surviving out there. Sam, take care, my boy. Until next week, everybody, take care, stay safe, have fun.
Let's go. Oh, brother. Appreciate it.
Fuck out.